I held the same destiny. But I went home and I reflected. And I prayed. And I called Donovan pretty early. Well, I called him very late. He didn't answer, you know, devastating news. He must be sleeping. And I called him early in the morning, and I was quite surprised. He didn't sound like a defeated man. He congratulated me on my victory, and he sounded quite matter-of-fact about the whole thing. I suspected that he may, you know, have a premonition that at the end of the day he would be declared the winner. I say this because I have known Donovan and Delroy for many years. Both of them have roots in West Central, St. Andrew. And I know them to be men of faith, strong believers in God. And I know they would have done their prayers and their family would have prayed for them. And as I reflected on the results, I said to myself, you know, Donovan is a hard worker. Donovan is someone who gave his all to the constituency. I know this because he's one of the MPs that come in like a mosquito in the ears. And you know him style, you know, bossy, bossy, walk to the house them, bossy, walk to the road them. And he was always advocating for you. And when I walked the constituency and I saw how much he achieved, I was impressed. He truly made an impact in Central Kingston. Now, I don't like to speak ill of anyone, and I don't want to take away from anyone. But I am firmly of the view that were there to be a change, we would lose the momentum in Central Kingston for the development that Donovan has started. And let me say quickly that we have a plan for Central Kingston. We have a plan for the social housing, which will rapidly rehabilitate and transform the living conditions of the worst housing here. We have a plan to increase the number of housing developments that will take place in this area. We have a plan to address the social infrastructure, your football and netball and your community centers. We have a plan to ensure that the young people in this area are employed, because we know there is a fairly high level of youth unemployment in the area. We have a plan to ensure that this community remains a peaceful community. You would know that 3 or 4 years ago, the murder rate inside here was high. Your government put in place the plan is working, we don't want to interrupt that. Central Kingston is one of the oldest residential communities. Now it is going to be mostly a mixed-use community. Residential, commercial, and industrial in one. And we are going to ensure that that happens by improving the housing stock, keeping the community peaceful, which will attract businesses into the area, which will employ our young people, which will give more households income, which will allow you to raise your quality of life. And I want Donovan to be in Parliament to make sure that all of that happens. Let me say one more thing here. The PNP have always held this seat, and they have held it for a long time, and they believe they have a title to it, and they have behaved. And I must clarify, I saw some PNP who were behaving angrily, as if we took away something from them that they own. I must tell you, however, that that is not the sentiment of all PNP supporters in this area. Privately, they confess that when their party held the seat, their party paid no attention to the seat. They did not help the people of Central Kingston. They did not improve the infrastructure of Central Kingston. They neglected Central Kingston, and people only began to see what representation looked like when Donovan Williams, the impact boss, came in and started to give people social housing, build turf, futsal, court and field, and do all kinds of things here for the people. Now, on election day, I'm told that the leader of the opposition led a motorcade, and entered polling stations for which he was not an elector. He's not on the voters list here. He had no business here. It is not only a convention, but it is against the spirit of the law that a candidate in an election who is not a candidate in the constituency or a voter in the constituency should come into the constituency, and more than that, go into a polling station which created chaos, which caused polling to stop, and which resulted in voters being intimidated. It is unbecoming and should be sanctioned by the relevant authorities. It is a breach of our electoral code, and it should not be countenanced. We are coming from a far way with these kinds of behavior. It is a bad example. But I want to thank you, the people of Central Kingston, everyone who voted, whether you voted for the Jamaica Labour Party or you voted for the PNP. That you voted is important. You contributed to the establishment of the government and the strength of our democracy. So I want to thank everyone who voted. But I especially want to thank you, the people who voted for Donovan Williams and the Jamaica Labour Party. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I wish for you God's richest blessings. You made the right decision. You made a wise choice. Lastly, this election was a test as to whether or not Jamaica's democracy evolved. There are many Jamaicans who still do not vote on the performance of a government. They vote on emotion, sentiment, and tradition. I cannot say whether or not that is legitimate. For me personally, I consider myself to be, yes, human and therefore emotional, but I am human and also logical. So I have to vote on things that make sense. And if a government performs, then I must reward the government. Because if we start to vote on governments that don't perform, then that means that you're likely to get governments that don't perform. So you have to set the tone as the voter. You must vote for performance. In every labor right, this is a core. You are the first to hold the party to account. You are the first to tell me that you're not performing, because we are rational people, we are logical people, and we are people who believe in merit. You must eat by the sweat of your brow. You must earn money by working. Labor rights at their core are ambitious, hard-working, industrious. Other people don't believe in that. So I think that we have largely passed the test, especially here in Central Kingston, of rewarding MPs and governments that perform. The second test of this election is whether or not we would uproot the good economic management that the entire nation struggled to achieve 10 years ago. The PNP came with promises that would have destroyed our economy. And I know that there are educated people who believed in the promises that they made, selfishly thinking that they would get something. Let me tell you, labor rights, PNP listening on the outskirts, people watching on social media, there is nothing free. There is nothing free. If you get it and you didn't pay for it, it doesn't mean it was free. Somebody else is paying for it. And if you get it today and you didn't pay for it, you are going to pay for it in the future. We fought hard to build an economy that is not going to try and fund its development on debt. We worked hard to build an economy that will fund its development by expanding the tax base, not by increasing taxes, but by increasing the number of persons who are working and therefore contributing to the revenues of the country. We have worked hard to build an economy that is growing consistently, so that the revenue that is generated is from the increase in the productivity of the people and not in the taxes of the people. And we are there now. And what the PNP was proposing to do was to come in with a shovel and shovel out what you all have created using teaspoon to build. But more than that, the PNP was coming to redistribute wealth from the poor to the rich. They were proposing to take up 75 billion Jamaican dollars. That's twice the size of the Spark program that is fixing 660 roads across Jamaica. And they would give it to 114,000 people earning more than $1.8 million a year. How many of you here earn $1.8 million a year? Very few. Who would pay for it? All of you. All of you. We dodged the bullet. We dodged the bullet. The people of Jamaica made the right decision. But it shows that there is a lot of work still there to be done to educate and enlighten those who are still stuck in tradition and this sense of entitlement that they own Jamaica. But we all live in the same boat. We cannot isolate. No, we have the authority to run the country. We must reach out to our PMP friends and family. We must reach out to our PMP brethren. And we must engage them in rational and reasonable discussion. They know, in the back of the mind and in the depths of the heart, they know. So we can't create a divide in the country. We are going to keep explaining how we are going to move Jamaica from poverty to prosperity. The PMP say a thing which I found so strange. And I'm going to close now, but since I have you here and you are such a wonderful audience, there are some things to explain. In the 1970s, the PMP decimated this country. And in particular, they decimated the middle class. The middle class are not necessarily rich people. They just earn a particular level of income and have access to better public services. There was a famous statement that said, if you don't like what I am doing, 5 flights a day to Miami. And our middle class fled, not only to Miami. Half of Cayman is Jamaican. Almost half of Antigua is Jamaican. All over the world, our middle class, the people who we spend money to educate, left because of the PNP. So when I hear the PNP come and say they are using this $3.5 million tax threshold as a means of building the middle class, I say, these people really don't understand how a middle class is built. You don't take money from the poor to create a middle class. No. Because if you do that, you create even greater income inequality in the society. How you build a middle class is when you increase the minimum wage for a household helper, the nail technician, the bartender, the merchandiser. Those people who are earning just around minimum wage, so that their children can get a better education, get to college, and then get a better income, and then step up in a life. That is how you build the middle class out of the working class. And that is the process, because every one of you here who are working class, your ambition is for your children to become middle class. All of you want your picnic to pass to the best school. All of you want your picnic to get the best education, because you know that progress and prosperity is when your children do better than you. So the PMP policy turned upside down. It is the Jamaica Labour Party that truly cares for the working class and the poor. We are the ones that are lifting more people out of poverty than ever before in the history of Jamaica. We are the party that cut absolute poverty in this country by half. So I say to all the people who consider themselves middle class and who would say, yeah man, I want more. The country can't grow like that. We are all in one boat. And we need policies that are going to lift everyone. So if you look at our policy prescription, we give some to the elderly, the pensioners. We give some to the middle by reducing the tax rate. And we give to the working class.